The timing feels calculated, the symbolism feels heavy. But what's really going on here? Stick with me because what I found digging into this story is way more complicated than it looks on the surface. Let me paint you the full picture of where this dress comes from because context matters here. Back in November 2018, Meghan was newly married to Harry. We're talking just 6 months after that fairy tale wedding. She was pregnant with Archie, glowing, and still very much part of the working royal family. The dress made its debut at the Royal Foundation dinner at Victoria House in Bloomsbury, London. This wasn't some casual event either. It was a private dinner for the charity foundation that William, Kate, Harry, and Meghan all ran together. The photos from that night are kind of haunting now when you look back. Kate wore this stunning red preen dress, her hair down and elegant. Meghan had her hair pulled back in that signature sleek bun she loved during her royal days, wearing this strapless Roland Mouret number with a fitted bodice and floral texture. They looked like they were at the peak of everything, the future of the monarchy, young, modern, ready to change the world together. The photos from that night are kind of haunting now when you look back. Kate wore this stunning red preen dress, her hair down and elegant. Meghan had her hair pulled back in that signature sleek bun she loved during her royal days, wearing this strapless Roland Mouret number with a fitted bodice and floral texture. They looked like they were at the peak of everything, the future of the monarchy. Young, modern, ready to change the world together. Singer Tom Walker performed that night and shared photos on social media showing all 4 of them together. He wrote about what an honor it was to perform for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Everyone was still using their formal titles. Everyone was still playing nice. This was before Megxit, before the Oprah interview, before the Netflix documentaries, before all the drama that would eventually tear these relationships apart. That dress, the Roland Mouret Aldrich from the Resort 2017 collection, wasn't cheap. It retailed for around £1,700, which converts to roughly $2,400. The design was actually inspired by Mount Street Gardens in Mayfair, London. Very British, very elegant, very much fitting for a working royal attending a formal charity dinner. And Meghan clearly loved this dress because it wasn't a one-time wear. She'd already worn it once before to the Royal Variety performance just a few days earlier that same month. So this was one of her go-to pieces during what many people consider her royal peak, that brief window when she seemed to have it all figured out, when the approval ratings were still high, when the public was still enchanted by the American actress who married the prince. Fast forward to early 2026, Meghan's lifestyle brand, as ever, posts a photo on Instagram promoting their Valentine's Day Sweetheart Bundle collaboration with Comparte Chocolates, and there she is, same dress, same pulled-back hair, same glowy makeup aesthetic, holding red heart-shaped balloons tied to jam jars, wearing sunglasses this time, looking every bit like she's trying to recapture something from that earlier era. The post went up on February 4th, and people immediately started pointing out what she was wearing. Fashion tracking accounts noticed it first. Then royal watchers picked up on it. Then it exploded across social media with people asking the same question. Why is she re-wearing this specific dress from that specific time period to sell jam? And here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't even the first time as ever used this dress for promotion. Back on January 26th, they posted a black and white photo of Meghan in the same gown teasing Valentine's plans and promoting their fruit spreads. So twice in about 10 days, they've gone back to this particular piece from her royal wardrobe for marketing content. Now let me tell you what's actually happening with as ever, because understanding the brand situation is crucial to understanding why this outfit choice matters so much. The brand launched in March 2025, originally called American Riviera Orchard, before trademark issues forced a rebrand to As Ever. And from the beginning, the story around this brand has been messy. Initial product drops sold out fast, which sounded great on paper. Meghan told Bloomberg her rosé wine sold out in under an hour. She talked about how quickly selling out was actually a problem because it meant she couldn't get data on which products people really wanted. She mentioned going from planning for a few thousand jars to suddenly needing purchase orders for 1 million units. But then something happened that completely changed the narrative. In early January 2026, Reddit users discovered a glitch on the As Ever website. By trying to add massive quantities of products to their shopping carts, like 200,000 units, they could see exactly how much inventory Meghan was actually sitting on. And the numbers were shocking. Over 200,000 jars of jam, nearly 90,000 candles, 30,000 jars of honey, 80,000 tins of edible flour sprinkles. The total came out to around 650,000 products with a retail value of almost $22 million. That's not a successful business flying off the shelves. That's a warehouse full of products that aren't moving. Some users even tracked sales over a couple days and calculated that Meghan sold 15 jars of orange marmalade and 39 gift boxes in 48 hours. At that rate, it would take years to clear current inventory. Now sources close to the brand rushed to explain this away, saying the high stock numbers proved the business was successful and preparing for international expansion. But the optics were terrible. Then just days ago, another story dropped that made things even worse. Multiple outlets reported that Netflix employees in Los Angeles were walking out of the office with free As Ever products. Apparently, there are 2 storage rooms at Netflix's Hollywood campus packed with jam, candles, wine, and flour sprinkles, and they're literally just giving it away to staff members. One employee reportedly walked out with 10 products for free. A source told the outlets that there's massive overstock and they can't move it. Now Netflix and As Ever representatives tried to do damage control, explaining that most inventory isn't at Netflix. What's there is specifically for gifting, sampling, and promotion, since Meghan has a partnership with the streaming service through her Netflix series. But damage was done. The perception became that As Ever isn't the success story it was marketed as. This comes on the heels of dismal performance for her Netflix show. Season 2 of her lifestyle series barely registered in viewership rankings. Plans for a 3rd season reportedly got scrapped. The show was supposed to be a vehicle for promoting As Ever products, creating this synergy between content and commerce. Instead, it flopped on both fronts. PR experts have started weighing in publicly about what's going wrong. One described the brand as having all the trappings of curated luxury, but no sense of what it's actually selling besides vibes and vague aspiration. Another criticized Meghan for taking a reactive approach instead of having clear vision and strategy. Brand experts noted that she needs to decide if this is about commerce, culture, or personal reinvention, because trying to do all 3 isn't working. So we've got a brand that's struggling, massive unsold inventory, products being given away for free, a failed TV show that was supposed to drive sales, and now Meghan's marketing campaign features her wearing a dress from her royal days, specifically from the time when her approval ratings were highest, when she was still part of the family, when everything seemed glamorous and promising. You see where I'm going with this? The choice to resurrect this particular dress from this particular moment feels less like random fashion and more like strategic nostalgia, or possibly desperation. Let me break down the different theories people are throwing around because there's genuine debate about what this means. Theory 1 is the strategic nostalgia angle. Some people think Meghan is deliberately invoking her royal credentials because her post-royal identity hasn't resonated the way she hoped. The harsh reality is that Meghan Markle, the lifestyle influencer and business owner, hasn't captured public imagination the way Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, did. Her value, whether she likes it or not, has always been tied to that royal connection. By wearing this dress from 2018, she's subtly reminding people of who she was when they were most interested in her. When magazines covered every outfit, when her wedding drew billions of viewers worldwide, when she represented something fresh and modern within this ancient institution. It's a visual callback to her moment of maximum relevance. And you know what? From a marketing standpoint, it's not the worst idea. If your current brand isn't gaining traction, sometimes you lean into what did work. The problem is, it can come across as living in the past or being unable to move forward. It raises the question, if being the Duchess mattered so much, why did you leave? And if you wanted to leave, why keep going back to that imagery? Theory 2 is the sustainability angle. Meghan's supporters jumped on this immediately, praising her for re-wearing pieces instead of constantly buying new designer outfits. And look, there's legitimate merit to this argument. The fashion industry is environmentally destructive. Fast fashion is a nightmare. Re-wearing expensive pieces instead of treating clothes as disposable is objectively better for the planet. Meghan has talked about sustainable fashion before. She's worn re-wear pieces at other events. So this could genuinely be about walking the walk on environmental values. The dress still fits. It's timeless. It photographs beautifully. Why not use it? But here's where this theory gets complicated. If sustainability was the main message, why not explicitly say so? Why not caption the Instagram post with something about choosing to re-wear and reduce waste? Instead, the post just promotes the Valentine's products with no mention of the outfit choice at all, which makes it seem less like an intentional sustainability statement and more like they just reused a dress that happened to be available. Theory 3 is the one nobody wants to say out loud, but everyone's thinking: cost-cutting. If as ever is genuinely struggling to sell product, if there are millions of dollars worth of inventory sitting in warehouses, if the Netflix show flopped and future seasons got canceled, then maybe the budget for creative shoots and marketing has gotten tighter. Maybe they can't afford to constantly source new designer pieces for promotional content. A high-quality photo shoot with professional styling, hair, makeup, wardrobe, that adds up fast, especially if you're trying to maintain a luxury lifestyle brand image. But if you've already got this gorgeous Roland Mouret dress in your closet that photographs like a dream, and you've got a shoot coming up for Valentine's promotion, why not just use what you have? This theory makes people uncomfortable because it suggests financial pressure that conflicts with the image of success as ever is trying to project. But the numbers we saw from that website glitch paint a picture of a business that might have overextended. $22 million in unsold inventory is a serious cash flow problem. That money is tied up in products sitting in storage instead of generating revenue. Then there's Theory 4, which is more psychological. Some royal commentators have suggested that Meghan returning to her royal wardrobe represents a kind of regression, a subconscious wish to return to a time when things felt more secure, more validated, more successful, when Hollywood and the lifestyle brand were still dreams instead of disappointing realities. Think about it this way. In 2018, Meghan had just achieved something millions of women fantasize about. She married a prince. She had a global platform. She was starting a family. Yes, there were pressures and restrictions behind the scenes that we'd later learn about. But from the outside looking in, her life looked enviable. Fast forward to 2026, and she's trying to sell jam in a crowded lifestyle market where Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop and countless other celebrity brands dominate. Her approval ratings have tanked. Her relationships with her family and the royal family are fractured. Projects keep failing to meet expectations. So maybe on some level, wearing that dress is about recapturing a feeling of success and validation that's been hard to replicate in California. The fifth theory I've seen floating around is the most generous one, that this is actually a subtle reconciliation signal to the royal family. That by choosing to wear something from that time period, from an event with William and Kate, Meghan is sending a message that she remembers the good times. That despite everything that's happened, there was a period when they worked together and supported the same causes. I'll be honest, this feels like a reach. If you wanted to signal reconciliation, there are about 1,000 more effective ways to do it than a vague fashion choice on an Instagram post selling jam. But royal watchers love reading tea leaves and finding hidden meanings, so this theory definitely has its believers. What strikes me most about all this is the contrast between then and now. The first time Meghan wore this dress, she was at the Royal Variety performance, and then the Royal Foundation dinner. These were charity events supporting causes the royals cared about. The atmosphere was formal, prestigious, meaningful in terms of the work being done. Now that same dress appears in promotional content for a commercial product. She's holding balloons tied to jam jars. The shift from charity work to retail feels jarring, and maybe that's unfair. Plenty of people transition from non-profit work to business ventures, and that's fine. But the specific choice to use this particular dress from that particular era for this particular purpose creates a weird disconnect that people can't help but notice. The fashion itself tells an interesting story, too. Roland Mouret is a French designer known for his precision cuts and elegant silhouettes. He's designed pieces for royals and celebrities for years. That specific Aldrich dress with its strapless neckline and fitted bodice is a signature style, sophisticated, timeless, expensive. It communicates status and luxury. So when you put that dress in the context of selling jam, a product that's supposed to be accessible and everyday despite its premium pricing, there's cognitive dissonance. You're marketing a lifestyle brand aimed at regular consumers while draped in a gown that costs more than most people spend on clothes in a year. And you're specifically choosing a gown that reminds everyone you used to be royalty. It's like you can't decide if you want to be relatable or aspirational, if you want people to see you as one of them or as someone to look up to. And that confusion has plagued Meghan's post-royal branding from the beginning. Let me zoom out for a second and talk about what this situation reveals about the challenges of celebrity lifestyle brands in general. Because Meghan isn't the first person to struggle with this, and she won't be the last. The lifestyle brand game is absolutely brutal right now. It's oversaturated with celebrities slapping their names on products and expecting instant success. Some have made it work. Martha Stewart built an empire. Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop is controversial but successful. Jessica Alba's Honest Company had its IPO. But for every success story, there are dozens of failures. Brands that launch with huge fanfare and then quietly disappear. Products that seem like obvious wins but can't find their market. The problem is that celebrity alone isn't enough anymore. Consumers are more sophisticated than they used to be. They want authenticity, quality, value, and a clear brand identity. They can smell cash grabs and vanity projects from a mile away. And they're not just going to buy something because a famous person tells them to. Meghan's challenge is even harder because her celebrity itself is complicated. She's not beloved in the way that some celebrities are. She's polarizing. There's a huge segment of the population that will never support anything she does because they see her as the villain in the royal family drama. But there's also a devoted fan base that wants to see her succeed. The smart move would be to lean into that fan base and create products specifically for them instead of trying to appeal to everyone. But as ever seems confused about who its customer actually is. The pricing is premium. $14 for jam, $32 for honey, $64 candles. That's targeting affluent consumers. But the branding is folksy and homespun with all the flower imagery and rustic aesthetic. Those are two different audiences. And then you layer on the royal nostalgia by using outfits from her Duchess days, which appeals to yet another segment of people who miss the glamour but might not care about jam and candles. It's like three different brand strategies fighting for attention in the same space. What I find fascinating is how different this is from how Kate and William have approached their post-working royal life. They've leaned hard into their roles, their charitable work, their family image. They're not trying to build commercial brands. They're playing the long game of royal duty and service. Whether you agree with monarchy as a concept or not, their strategy is at least coherent and consistent. Meghan seems caught between wanting the financial independence and creative freedom that comes with commercial ventures, but also still being drawn to the prestige and attention that came with royal status. And honestly, who can blame her? Being a working royal came with massive restrictions and pressures. But it also came with built-in relevance and a platform that's almost impossible to replicate in the civilian world. So where does all this leave us? With a Valentine's Day promotional campaign that sparked way more conversation about what Meghan's wearing than about the actual products she's selling. And maybe that's not entirely a bad thing from a marketing perspective. People are talking about, as ever, even if it's not all positive. Controversy and debate can drive awareness. But long-term, this approach isn't sustainable. You can't build a lasting brand on nostalgia and controversy alone. At some point, the products have to stand on their own merit. The brand identity has to be clear and compelling. The customer experience has to deliver value that makes people want to come back and buy again. Right now, As Ever feels more like a symbol of Meghan's complicated post-royal journey than an actual lifestyle brand with staying power. Every product launch becomes an opportunity to relitigate the Megxit drama. Every promotional photo gets analyzed for hidden meanings and messages. The actual jam and candles and wine become almost secondary to the meta-narrative about Meghan's place in the world. And that's exhausting for everyone involved. It has to be exhausting for Meghan to have every choice scrutinized and debated. It's exhausting for consumers who might just want to buy nice products without all the baggage. It's exhausting for observers trying to figure out what's actually happening versus what's being projected. The dress situation is a microcosm of all of this. On one level, it's just a woman re-wearing a nice dress for a photo shoot. Happens all the time, nothing weird about it. But because of who Meghan is, and what that specific dress represents, and the context of her brand's struggles, it becomes this loaded symbolic choice that means different things to different people. Some see savvy nostalgia marketing. Others see sustainable fashion. Some see cost-cutting measures. Others see psychological regression. And the truth is, probably some combination of all of these things, plus factors we're not even aware of. Maybe the photographer loved how that dress looked in that lighting. Maybe it was literally the only formal gown Meghan had clean that day. Maybe there's a perfectly mundane explanation that has nothing to do with royal nostalgia or brand strategy. But we don't live in a world where Meghan gets to just be a regular person making regular choices. Everything becomes a statement whether she intends it to or not. That's part of the price of fame. Especially the kind of fame that comes from marrying into royalty and then very publicly leaving. What I really want to know is whether as ever can turn things around, whether the Valentine's Day campaign actually moves product, whether the chocolate collaboration with Compartee generates the kind of buzz and sales that justify all this effort, whether Meghan can find a way to build something that stands separate from her royal past instead of constantly referencing it. Because here's the thing, she clearly has entrepreneurial instincts. She's shown she can identify trends and opportunities. The jam and preserves market is actually growing. The candle market is huge. Wine is always popular. On paper, these are solid product categories. The execution just hasn't connected with consumers the way it needs to. Maybe this latest campaign will be different. Maybe seeing Meghan in that dress will trigger something in people. Nostalgia, curiosity, whatever, that translates into actual purchases. Maybe the As Ever team knows something we don't about their target customer and what resonates with them. Maybe all this debate and analysis is exactly what they wanted because it keeps the brand in the conversation. Or maybe this is just another chapter in a struggling brand's attempt to find its footing. Another moment that will get dissected and debated, but ultimately won't move the needle on the fundamental challenges facing As Ever. Time will tell. What's undeniable is that Meghan Markle remains one of the most fascinating and polarizing figures in contemporary culture. Everything she does generates reaction. People have strong opinions about her choices, her motivations, her authenticity. Whether that translates into business success is still an open question. For now, we've got photos of a duchess-turned-entrepreneur standing with balloons and jam jars while wearing a 1,700-pound dress from the peak of her royal days. We've got a brand with millions in unsold inventory trying to make Valentine's Day magic happen. We've got speculation and theories and debate about what any of this actually means. And you know what? That might be the most interesting thing about this whole situation. In a world where so much celebrity content feels calculated and predictable, where we think we've seen every version of the fame game played out, Meghan's journey keeps surprising us. It keeps generating genuine uncertainty about what happens next. Because nobody really knows if this works or not, if she figures it out, or if As Ever becomes another failed celebrity brand that we barely remember in a few years. The stakes feel real in a way they don't for a lot of celebrity ventures. This isn't just a side project or a vanity brand for Meghan. This is supposed to be her post-royal identity, her answer to people who said she couldn't make it without the royal family. Every stumble gets magnified. Every success or failure reflects on her larger narrative about independence and building something of her own. So yeah, a dress choice for a Valentine's Day jam campaign matters more than it probably should, because it's not really about the dress at all. It's about what the dress represents. A connection to a past that was both glamorous and restrictive. A reminder of when Meghan seemed to have it all. A contrast to where she is now trying to sell preserves in a saturated market while dealing with warehouse full of products that aren't moving as fast as anyone hoped. Is this strategic nostalgia, sustainable fashion, desperate cost-cutting, psychological regression, a reconciliation signal? The answer is probably yes to all of the above in different proportions. Human motivation is rarely pure or simple. Business decisions get made for multiple overlapping reasons. And when you add in the pressure of being one of the most scrutinized women on the planet, every choice becomes infinitely more complicated. What I do know is that this conversation reveals how much we're all still invested in Meghan's story. How much we want to understand what she's thinking, what she's feeling, whether she's succeeding or struggling or somewhere in between. Love her or hate her, we can't look away. And maybe that attention is actually the most valuable asset she has, even if converting it into jam sales has proven trickier than expected. So what do you think about all this? Is Meghan making a smart strategic move by invoking her royal past for as-ever marketing? Or is this a sign that the brand is struggling and grasping at straws? Do you see this as sustainable rewear or desperate cost-cutting? And bigger picture, can as-ever actually succeed as a lifestyle brand, or is it doomed to always be overshadowed by the royal drama that made Meghan famous in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I genuinely want to hear different perspectives on this. It's such a complex situation with so many layers. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button because this kind of royal drama and celebrity brand analysis is exactly what we do here. The like button helps too. It tells the algorithm to show this to more people who are as fascinated by this stuff as we are. I've got my eye on how this Valentine's Day campaign performs, and whether we see any shift in as-ever's strategy going forward. Something tells me this isn't the last time we'll be analyzing Meghan's fashion choices through the lens of brand strategy and royal nostalgia. Because at this point, that's just what happens when you're Meghan Markle. Every outfit tells a story whether you mean it to or not.